Good morning, Abundant Life Church. This is Pastor Chris. Today we're going to continue our study on John chapter 14, verses 1 down through 15. Now, in our last session, we covered the last couple verses where Jesus says, "Ask me for anything in my name." Okay, how should we interpret that? Does he mean whatever, if you want a sports car, ask for that? Whatever greedy desire you want, just ask for it, and he'll give it to you because what he cares about more than anything else is us being happy. All right, let's get that question out of the way first. Is there any possibility that the prosperity gospel people are correct? The people who say that God's greatest desire is for us to be wealthy and content? Is God's purpose really all about making us rich and happy? Now ask yourself, is that consistent with what you've seen in truly godly people? And does giving somebody their way on everything and granting every desire they have make them appreciative? Does it make them effective followers and workers for Jesus? I think the answer is pretty obvious. It makes us self-entitled. It makes us entitled. It makes us spoiled. Okay, but if this isn't how things work, then there has to be another meaning to this message where Jesus says, ask for anything and I'll give it to you. Obviously, there's a bigger point here. The danger is if we're focused on the silly notion that Jesus wants us to be rich, then we're going to miss what he's really saying to us. And that's probably something we need to know. For some reason, I don't know why, I love movies set in submarines. I don't know what it is, but I can't. If you put on a good submarine movie, I'm there. And there was a movie out years ago set in a submarine. It was called Crimson Tide. It was Gene Hackman, Denzel Washington. They were on a nuclear submarine. Gene Hackman was the captain. Denzel Washington was the second in command. And they got a message that they were supposed to launch their missiles at Russia. Okay, well, those are the orders. We got to do it. And before they could, they got a second message. But for some, I don't remember why, it's been a while since I've seen it, but for some reason, the entire message didn't come through. They just got part of a message. So now there was this big disagreement. What do we do? We don't know. One guy said, yeah, we launched the missiles. The other guy said, well, they may not want us to. What do? We need to know the full message because we only have half a message. Here's the thing. You better find out what that second message is because that's the real message. That's the latest info. And if you act without knowing what the real message is, it could cause some problems. All right. We think the message is ask me for anything. But is it? Is that the real message? Because if we settle for what's just an incomplete message, we could get into some real trouble here. So what was Jesus really saying? We have to look at the context here. Context is everything. Well, let's go again at verses 13 and 14. I promise you eventually we're going to be in the rest of the passage. Verse 13, and I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. All right. I'll ask you for anything. Why? So that the Father can be glorified through the work of the Son. All right, right there. Kind of skip over that part. I didn't really hit that hard in the last session, but that's everything. That right there is the key to understanding this. Whatever Jesus' plan was, it's not about us being happy. It's not about us being wealthy and content. It's about God being glorified through the work of Jesus. It has something to do with bringing glory to God. So the point of giving people who are serving Jesus whatever they ask for in prayer isn't about making them happy and wealthy. It's about making God glorified. All right, that obviously changes things. Apparently, this is about God, not us. Who would have thought? Now let's figure out what the message really is. If it's about glorifying God, then obviously Jesus is going to give them a task. And what he's saying is, as you carry out this task, keep praying, and I'll help you to carry out the task. That's what ask me for anything meant. Pray, and I'll help you carry out the task that I am giving you. So, what was that task? Well, remember, this was all taking place during the Last Supper. Jesus was telling them, I'm going to leave you. You're going to have to carry on my work after I'm gone. Oh, that's going to be a big job. Your job is going to go out and tell the world how they can be saved through him. You're going to need some help. Let's look at verses 7 down through 10 now. All right, here we go. Verses 7 through 10 say, if you really knew me, or if you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Jesus answered, don't you know me, Philip? Even after I've been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and that the Father's in me? The words I say to you, I don't speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing the work. All right. This is a mission. We're doing the work that God gave to Jesus and Jesus is giving to us. It's to tell people about how to be saved through Jesus, how to come to God the Father through God the Son, and all that goes along with that. For the Jews, God was always a mystery. Nobody could see God and live. Moses was only allowed to see the back of God as he walked by. Now it sounds like Jesus is going to give them something even Moses didn't get. He will show you the Father. All right? Well, okay, what does that show us the Father then? And Jesus is saying, but you've seen me. You've seen me. There's nothing different between me and the Father. Now, what does that mean? How many letters did Paul write to the Corinthian church? Okay, wrong. He wrote 3. Well, you're thinking, but in my Bible, it's only got 2. Yeah, but he wrote 3. There's a missing letter. We're actually missing 2 Corinthians. You think, no, it's right there. No, what we have is 1 Corinthians and 3 Corinthians. There's a letter in between there that we're missing. And for years, scholars have wondered, what could be in that letter? I had a professor in grad school when talking about this say, it doesn't matter. There's nothing in that letter that we wouldn't already know. He's not going to tell us, hey, Jesus is really not God. He's not going to give us some theology we've never heard before. The message is consistent throughout the New Testament. You don't need that missing Corinthian letter because you have the teachings that you need. In other words, if you read the rest of the Bible, you already know what's going to be said in that missing Corinthian letter. If you've seen Jesus, you've seen the Father. All right. But the message is this. It's about serving God. It's about bringing God glory. It's not about bringing yourself a bigger income. It's not about your life going well or going easy. It's about being a part of something bigger than yourself. And it's about taking us home. That idea is very important. Taking us home. Not a home in this world, but a home beyond this world. We're going to talk more about that next time. So tune in then. Till then, have a great day.